Is being recorded. Okay. Now, guys, you know we were looking at paper 3. Okay. I need someone to remind me what is comprehension? What is comprehension? What is comprehension, guys? What, in a word, in a sentence, or more? What is comprehension? What is the purpose of paper 3? All right, the ability to understand. Thank you, Pranisha. I mean, Pranisha is just like the clutch shooter, and you all ain't even in the clutch yet. All right, but she's just doing Steph Curry, just hitting the threes like every class, and come on, man. All right. Okay. All right. Cool. We get it. Okay. So I'm glad you were able to comprehend that reference. All right. So help me out here. Who can remember 2 of the 3 levels of comprehension or meaning? 2 of the 3 levels of meaning in regards to comprehension that I have in this PowerPoint. Who can remember that? Who can remember what they are?
Oh, Lord.
Nobody? Wow. Nobody? Okay. You guys want a hint? You guys want a little hint? Repeat yourself. Okay. You guys need a hint? Can you hear me now? No. Angel, can you hear me now? No. All right. Okay. So evaluative, yes, that's one, Shante. All right, you're on the right track. Anyone else? Look here. All right. We had okay, shooter. Okay, I see you. Dangerous. Yeah. All right. Yes. Inferential, literal, inferential, and evaluative. Wow. Now let me unmute these mics, right? And so you can tell me what they mean.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, let's do this. Okay. So who can tell me what is literal meaning? When we're talking about a comprehension passage, what do I mean by literal meaning before we get into the meat and potatoes of this lesson?
When someone asks for the literal meaning of something, they mean I don't want to say dictionary definition, but I assume that's what it is. But mostly just want it in your own words, but actually what it means, like, yeah.
Okay, not bad. All right, literal meaning is, yes, definitely like surface, so no context. You don't really need context, right? Okay, like we said, like if I say dumb, oh, that boy over there is so dumb. All right. In one instance, I could be talking about someone who I'm saying is, lacks intelligence, but I can also be talking about someone who cannot speak because they can't hear. Right? Okay. So, but generally, when we talk about literal meaning, we just mean like straight up what does the text say? What is it based on, like the surface meaning of this text? Like on, just on a very basic, rudimentary level, what is this text saying? Okay, if the text says the man fell off the cliff because he was drinking. Why did the man fall off the cliff? He was drinking. Okay, so very literal. No depth needed. You don't have to go deep. Okay, now what about the other one? What about inferential? Inferential meaning. Will someone come on, man? Someone come on, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I can try the other one. Are you going?
We're not on the other one yet. So just hold that thought. Thanks. Okay. Someone else for inferential. That's inferential is easier than evaluative if you ask me. But anyway, someone else.
I think it's when you uh get a definition by the context or what you gather from the surrounding words.
Listen, man, Samuel, don't you trying? I see you trying to get me emotional. You're trying to make me emotional, and I have to be a strong man. You understand? But I appreciate that answer, brother. That was very well answered. Okay. Shante and Samuel, thank you very much, the both of you. All right, now who wanted to do? I can't see
You're
you.
welcome very much. I want to do it.
Oh,
I don't
you.
know
Oh,
if I write,
okay.
but I want to do it.
Okay.
I think it
Willie?
means like when someone asks you that question, it gives you the decision to choose whether or not you agree with the author's way they speaking or point of view.
Yes. Okay. That's not very good. Very good. Very good. I'm very proud of you guys today, man. You're giving me hope for when you guys return. Okay. But yeah, okay, evaluative has to do with assessing something, reading something, and critiquing it. Like, how did you feel about what the author did with this character? All right. How did you feel about what the narrator's role in the story? You're evaluating the text. Okay. You're not just like reading between the lines, like you're giving your voice. All right. Because that's what evaluation is, right? You're giving input, you're giving your voice. Inference is like reading between the lines, like trying to, you're determining what can be implied. Okay. And then literal meaning is just what's in front of you and, no more than that, no more, no less. Okay. So objectives, right? These aren't that important right now, but anyway, by activating prior knowledge, students will be able to accurately define the term comprehension. Boom. All right. After teacher-led discussion, students will be able to distinguish between the levels of comprehension assessment. We're not quite there yet. And 3, after additional discussion, students working in groups will be able to outline a BGCSE summary. Now, we're not quite there yet, but that's the direction we're headed in, right? Because I want us to focus on the summary question at some point and the directed writing question, because the directed writing question is the biggest question on paper 3. Like, that's the most important question, and we have to devote time. We have to devote time to that. Okay. Oh, Angel, I'm sorry. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Walking, please. Yes, let Angel
I
speak.
apologize,
She really
Angel.
need to get off her chest.
Angel, listen to me. Listen to me, right? You didn't do anything wrong. Okay. You didn't do anything wrong. All right, that was my bad. I don't want you to get upset. Don't be like you have to be a little more resilient than that, okay? I don't want you to feel badly about not being heard, because remember, it's not intentional. All right? And sometimes things like this just happen, okay? But don't let that discourage you from answering. No, man, Angel, don't be like that. Don't say that. All right? Don't say that, please. Okay? Just we all make mistakes, man. I apologize. All right? I didn't realize what was going on. And sometimes people talk over people, and that's okay. That's life. Okay? All right. So we talked about the fact that paper 3 is 2 hours long and 2 hours and 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and the funny part is, right, the 10 minutes is for you to read. And when you open some of those booklets, you're like, hold on, man, Mr. Joaquin, but this is 3-4 pages. Like, who's going to read this in 10 minutes? And I'll be honest, the average reader cannot read those passages in 10 minutes. Mrs. Dennis, I don't know if you agree or disagree.
I agree. The average reader can't.
Okay, it's depending on the length of the passage, and if you're reading for because see, there's a difference. Remember, I said there's a difference between reading and reading for understanding. Okay, because I can read something to you and I could be complete, and my mind can be elsewhere. I'm not even thinking about what I'm reading, right? Like nothing about it. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that paper 3 is very formulaic, multiple choice, short answers, structured questions, questions that there's usually a question that asks you to break down a figurative quote from the passage, or there's a question that may ask you to quote a line from the passage that means something that the question wants you to connect, all right, with something else, all right. And what I mean by that is, for example, the question may say, find a word or phrase or sentence from paragraph 1 that indicates Nellie's hatred for her mother. And then you have to check that paragraph and see if you can find a quote, a sentence, a phrase, or a word that indicates that she hated her mother. And oftentimes, I should say, the information is not always cut and dry. So it may be something that implies that she hates her mother. It's not going to be like, Mom, I hate you, right? So it may be something a little deeper, like she might say that, I stared out of the corner of my eye. I could feel the, disgust bubbling over in my body, right? It might be something like that, okay? It's not usually as direct as that. And then, of course, you have the summary question. All right, that's missing for me. I don't know why. Okay, and the direct writing question, because summary questions always come, blah, blah, blah. Moving on. All right. Okay, so we talked about these. Literal meaning, just a quick review. Literal meaning. What's going on? I was pressing it too fast. Okay, literal meaning, what is clearly stated. No need to be a detective. You don't have to be Batman. Okay, inferential meaning. This is where you kind of have to put on your Batman hat. Read for what is implied between the lines. And then evaluative meaning. This is where you become a judge. All right, an arbitrator. Okay. Read to assess, judge, or evaluate, as well as respond to, form opinions, and come to conclusions. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so literal, inferential, evaluative. Now, we looked at direct questions. Okay. Last time, we know that these are answers that are in the passage. These are your favorite because you don't have to think that hard. You just need to be able to read. Okay? If you can tell what words mean, or if you can make out what letters put together and, to make words, what those words represent on the page, in terms of what's being communicated to you, then you should be okay. All right? You may be asked to retrieve facts from the passage. You may be asked to quote information from the passage. And of course, I think this is kind of where the multiple choice questions would fall. Sorry. We're on slide 10 now, Angel. Slide 10. Okay. All right. So, and I like I've said a million times. All right, like Mrs. Dennis has said also, and Mrs. Toot, I'm sure. Paper 3 is reading comprehension, and like literally that's like giving you all the answers, man. Like everything is there. You just got to use your common sense 90% of the time. That's all it is, common sense, honestly. All right. But unfortunately, common sense, as the old folks say, is not always common. All right. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, we talked about vocabulary. Okay, we talked about a beautiful death. We talked about sunblock. We talked about illegible handwriting. So this is where you may be asked questions that require you to know what a word means.
When slow and take you away.
Thanks. All right. Yeah. So, for example, there was 1 year we did a paper called obesity, and I'm always talking about this paper, and it talked about obesity in the Bahamas. And one of the crazy things was like one of the questions said, quote a sentence from paragraph 1 or from paragraph 2 or whatever that indicates that obesity is a life-threatening disease, right? And the quote read something like, "Never mind that climbing a flight of stairs nearly annihilates you." Now, in order to get that, you would have to know what annihilates means. You would have to understand that, okay? And you could use the context. I don't know if breaking it up into prefixes and suffixes. I don't even know if that would help you, to be honest with you. All right, because that's something you just need to be aware of in terms of its meaning. All right, so beyond contextual clues, beyond analyzing compound words, beyond prefixes and suffixes or affixes, you know, looking at how they come together to make words or change the meaning of root words, you have to read, children. I can't emphasize this enough. You have to get a book, crack it open, and read. And like, I'm not even a big proponent of audiobooks. Okay? Chances are an audiobook will put you to sleep.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Joaquin, right now, the class I have to read this book, right? Chapters. And I actually have the audio to it. And let me tell you, I listened to that audio, Masibo, 3 times on one paragraph. And I'm like, I can't do this. Let me just read. Because
Yeah.
I'm retaining more. Because this man ain't making no sense.
Yeah,
Mind on reading what he's saying.
because he's gonna say, yeah, because he's gonna read it, and you know, there's like, it's just boring, right? It's like,
I'm telling you.
unravel the meaning of a word based on the
Exactly.
passage. There
Mr.
are
Joaquin, you
ways
understand.
to unravel the meaning of words, and nah, son, you lost me a long time ago. If you come there with me, if you come at me like that, that's a problem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, man, get up, guys. There's nothing wrong with reading comic books. You can read comic books online. You can You can read manga online. There are books available online for you to download and read. Okay. There's no excuse to not read literature, like an actual book. I don't mean a Facebook text. I don't mean an Instagram quote that you want to post. Like, you know, these days ain't nobody real. Only person that got you is you. Like, that's not reading, right?
I
Like,
must say, Angel reads though, Mr. Walking, because Angel
okay,
actually gave me a book.
yeah,
Very
no,
good.
no,
I
they
must
kill me.
say,
No, they kill me.
yeah.
It's like, you know, like you have to understand, I'm 17, and I have a lot of problems, and you know, people have betrayed me like my whole life. What? What were you like a a king? Like, what did you experience a betrayal Jesus did, or Caesar? Like, what? Because they didn't come to your party, or because they I don't know, right? Yeah, okay, reading causes you to fall asleep. Well, I guess you have to read first thing in the morning. I don't know. Okay, all right, so let's keep going beyond the vocabulary. All right, now boom, we're looking at the inferential question, I think. Is this what we're looking at? Yes. Oh, this is one of my favorites, man. I love it. Okay, now this is a question that requires you to read between the line, and guess what? The directed writing question is an inferential question. All right, now let me give you guys an example of what I mean. All right, if I tell you, if I told you that there was this person, right? Imagine there was this. Imagine I'm telling you about my grandfather, right? And I said that my grandfather was a farmer, and that not only was my grandfather a farmer, he also dealt with animals. He dealt with animal husbandry, right? Raised animals, and he also he helped to feed his community. He sold what he grew and whatever, and if there were poor people around, he would give them extra vegetables and cuts of meat. His children who lived in Nassau, he would send them things. All right. And also when he would go out and about with his business, to do whatever he needed to do, and he saw another adult, he would tip his hat, you know, to a woman or a man. Okay. He also enjoyed reading. He was well educated, went to a prestigious private school, went to Tuskegee University. Now, think of some words that you could give me to describe my grandfather. What are some words I hope you were listening, but what are some words you could give me, some adjectives that could describe my grandfather?
Independent.
Independent. Why would you say independent?
Independent and helpful also. Because I feel like he worked for what he help or work for what he's doing in life, and he also like to give or help a persons.
Okay. Okay, good. Angel, do you want to add?
You said he liked to read books, right? I'd
Yes.
say he's like quick with it.
All right, he's quick with
Boss.
it. What
Yeah.
I also said something about school. What did I say about school?
I don't know. Girl.
Okay, I said he went to Tuskegee University. He went to a private school when he was younger. So what does that tell you about him? Or what can you say about him?
He's a good
You think he
Clever.
child.
better than
Smart.
government school children?
Oh, just would have been smart in order to get into.
He was privileged.
All right, privileged. I like that. Yeah, you could say that he was privileged. Yeah. Okay. Now, notice that I didn't say any of those things. Does anyone want to add anything else? Because I don't know if everyone hit everything that or got everything that I was saying. Because what kind of person was he? If he's a farmer,
He was generous.
generous. I love that. Okay, so notice. Did I give you any of these adjectives, or did you give them to me?
We gave them to you.
Right. Using what? What helped you?
Inferences,
Okay. No, no,
context
no.
clues.
The the
The context.
the information, the context helped you make inferences, and then those inferences led you to say, well, he was generous. He was quick-witted. Okay, he was mannerly. No one mentioned the mannerly thing when I talked about the old school tipping of the hat to a lady or a gentleman, because that's what you did back in those days, right? You tipped your hat if you wore a hat, and back in the day, men wore hats everywhere. Okay, women too. Outdoors, you wouldn't wear a hat inside, right? It's impolite to wear a hat indoors, right? But outside, you're supposed to keep your head covered. But we don't do that anymore, right? Um, Not really. Okay, so read between the lines, infer the meaning, use your background information. Okay, so let's look at this. Based on definition, logical inference. She cried as she stood beside the casket. Where was she?
Beside the
A
casket.
funeral.
Yeah, I know she was beside the casket, but where was she and where was the casket? Most likely.
In the church?
Oh, at a funeral.
Yeah, in a funeral. Okay, where's another place it could
Oh,
be?
graveyard.
The place
In
where
the
you buy
cemetery?
caskets.
Very good. The place where you buy caskets. It could be the graveyard, and there's another place that you guys haven't mentioned yet.
It could be the where they
The
put the
funeral
bodies.
home.
The
Very
morgue?
good. Who was that? Who was that with all that bass just now? I know that was an angel.
Shema.
Jamal.
Okay. Yes, the funeral home. Okay, it could be the funeral home. And people back in the day, people like would have wakes, and they'd be having a party, and the dead body would be on a cooling board. People kind of strange back in the day. But anyway, yeah, that's what they did. Okay, so those were all logical inferences, right? Now, the inference can be based on observation as well. She cried as she stood beside the casket. Why was she crying?
She may have lost a loved one.
Mm, okay, good. She probably lost a loved one. Now, is it logical for me to say that she may have been sad because she thought the casket cost too much?
Yes.
But what's more likely, that she was crying
She
because
lost a loved one.
the lost loved one? But and based on observation, okay, most likely she was crying because she was sad about losing somebody. Okay. All right, let me see. Someone she cared for had died. If you see someone crying, see, now this thing is not vanishing for me. If you see someone crying, let me go for.
Nail grave. You would
Ah,
guess this was the case.
yes, thank you. All right, very good, and that's correct. Okay, see, look at how intelligent you guys are, man. Right? Smart. And there's nothing better than intelligent people of color. I love it. Right? All right, so types of reading comprehensions, comprehension questions, all right? Rephrasing. Oh, man. Now we're getting to the heavy stuff. We're getting to the good stuff. All right? This is where we rewrite things in our own words, but we keep the original meaning, right? That's what summary writing is all about. And making it a little bit shorter, right? Read the phrase or sentence in its context. Note this is a subcategory of summary writing, okay? Use your own words. Now, guys, when we talk about using your own words, why is that so important? Why is that so important? Brianna?
To avoid plagiarism.
Oh, look here. Okay, great stuff. Yes, you want to avoid plagiarism. Now, let me tell you guys a little story, right? You know, Mr. Walking has I always have these old bunch of stories. You know, they say when you get older, you tell the same stories over and over. All right. But anyway, once upon a time, there was this place called the College of the Bahamas. And in this place, there was a man, let's call him Mr. Death, okay? Or Dr. Death. Now, Dr. Death gave a speech one day, many, many moons ago, and he didn't cite a source, or he didn't change, or he didn't paraphrase something. He did. And because of that, he was ejected from the kingdom of COB. He was fired, right? They let him go. They let him go faster than a hot potato. Okay? So, and this man was the president of COB at the time. Okay? This man was the president of COB at the
Oh,
time.
gee, Mr. Walken.
Yeah. Mr. Tucson, you've heard about this, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So he was, no, but I'm just saying, like, beyond the BGCSE guys, like, paraphrasing information, rephrasing information is so important. If you plan on going, and even if you don't go to college, like if you can be sued, all right? You can lose your job depending on the type of job that you have. All right, plagiarism is serious. Okay? You could be kicked out of a unit if you go off to college or university, you could be kicked out of school for that. Like they don't even like, and it would be and it could be very difficult for you to get back into another school. All right? So they don't play that. So etch this into your minds today. This is important stuff. Okay? Use your own words. Now, how do we do that? We can do that by one. All right? Check the context of the question. 2, identify keywords. 3, replace every word using synonyms, a phrase with similar meaning, associated words, or antonyms, and arrive at your final answer. So one of the major keys to rephrasing information, especially for summary writing, is to consider using synonyms. Okay? Or better yet, and since you're summarizing, okay? All right, watch this. Let me see who's smart, right? All right, I'm typing something in the chat there. I forgot the full stop. Let me send that right now. There you go, full stop for you. Jason brought. Oh, that should be bought. Okay. Okay. Now here's my question. Okay. How can we make this shorter? How can we shorten the sentence? How can we take this?
Jason bought fruits when he went to the food store, or Jason bought produce when he went to the food store.
Okay. How can we make it even shorter than that?
Jason bought food.
Not food. That's a little too short. Okay, Angel said Jason went to the food store to buy some fruits. Okay, that's good. No, I just was asked. I just wanted you to replace. Shema, I just want you to replace. Take out the when the, because you could have simply also said Jason bought fruits at the food store, right? So notice that how easy it is to replace information that is specific, make it general, and make it shorter. And in a way, this is like you paraphrasing, because you're not saying the exact same thing that I typed there. Okay, you guys have replaced Shema, you used produce, which was excellent. All right, Angel, you used fruits, which was great. Okay, Gracious, you did the same thing, so excellent job, right? So it's not hard, right? It's not hard once you practice it. But guess what? You know what helps? You know what helps? Reading, learning new words. Okay. All right. So, guys, I gotta say, I hate this. I don't like this PowerPoint presentation as much as the other one, because this one is way more like boring. But anyway, language use tests. Understanding of words, expressions used in the passage requires you to look at word association, require you to look at slight differences in meaning. Ugh, hate it. All right. All right. Continued from use your own words. He's a walking dictionary. Okay? He's a walking dictionary.
He is very smart.
Okay? I don't know. I mean, just because someone does that mean he's very smart though?
I don't know.
What is
He has
intelligent?
a high vocabulary.
Okay, he may have he may know a lot of words, but I mean, a lot of times we confuse knowledge with
You know everything, man.
knowledge with wisdom. Right? You guys know that
Maybe they're being sarcastic.
oh, you think they're being sarcastic? Wait, who?
I say maybe. That was not my first answer.
Oh, you mean he's a walking dictionary? You think they may be sarcastic in saying that?
Maybe. I know.
That's right. That could be a possibility, because they may mean the opposite of that. They may mean he's like an idiot who doesn't know anything, right? But chances are they're being genuine. And what are they saying here? How did they phrase this? Is this
You trying to
literal?
say he know everything, man?
But is this literal or figurative?
Figurative language.
All right. So
Is it figurative?
yes, it's figurative, because I mean, if I saw a walking dictionary, then I'd be very concerned, right? So yes, it's definitely figurative. Now, how would you put this in? How would you rephrase this in like plain language? I think some of you did it already.
He has a very
He
high
is very
vocabulary.
smart.
Okay, he has a wide vocabulary. Okay, all right. So let's look at it. Walking is associated with legs and people. Dictionary is a book with word definitions. This term suggests that he is a person who knows the meaning of a lot more words than the average person. Okay? So yeah. So and I want to stop here and say this, right? I'm sure my colleagues will agree. I'm glad I can say that now, because like there are there are four of us now. So I can't taking
Right?
to say everyone's name, so that's a good thing. Hopefully it'll take even longer soon.
Yes.
So I want you guys to understand this, okay? Because I don't know if I drove home the importance of using figurative language in your writing for paper one. Using figurative language correctly can be like a powerful tool. Some of the best writing that I have seen resulted from like clever use of figurative language, right? And it's always a good idea to include some figurative language in your writing. Okay. And notice that not only, okay, does figurative language apply to comprehension, it also applies to your writing. So I want you guys to remember that, you know, everything is in English for sure, everything is connected. Even when you don't see connections there are connections, right? All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so this is another type. Man, I must have thought I was fancy with this. Okay, types of reading comprehension questions, rephrasing continued. All right, continued from language use. 1. Like, guys, I apologize because this is even difficult for me to follow sometimes. I don't know what I was thinking when I set this up like this. All right, understanding the expression. Okay, and this is very important too because Mrs. Dennis can vouch for what I'm about to say. They always have like an expression that you have to explain. That is, the expression may be figurative, and you have to explain it in literal terms.
Always.
Always. They always have a question like that on paper 3. Okay. Example: seeing the 8 A's on his report card. All right, so Alex's report card was I don't even know, when do we say A? Like when we're hailing somebody, his report card was hailing everybody. Okay, just A. All right. Okay, seeing the 8 A's on his report card, Alex floated out of the school hall. What is the author suggesting with the use of the word floated?
He was satisfied or he was happy.
All right, he was satisfied or he was happy. Okay, good. Anyone else? Wow.
I was gonna say run, like he ran down the hall in excitement or something.
Okay, he ran out the hall in excitement. I was afraid. I was wondering if no one else could relate. That's why everyone was so quiet.
Right?
You feel uplifted, like how they sound, like how they say angels will float or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your answer. So, guys, you mean to tell me now some of you have never gotten such a good report card, like especially when it was almost Christmas, and you know when your mommy or your dad picked up that report or your guardian, they kiss you all over your forehead and your face and everything, and you didn't really like that, but hey, you got the good report card, and like you got whatever you wanted because they were like, oh my gosh, like I have to go out and get extra stuff because you did so well. Now, how would you feel? How would you feel about yourself?
Goated.
Accomplished.
Yeah, I would feel, man, I'd feel great.
Yeah.
I would feel so good about myself. I'd be like, wow, like this is a gift in and of itself. Right? Like I'd be like, Mom, you don't even let me stop lying. I'd be like, you know, this is good, but I still make it. Right?
I'd feel like that, bro.
Oh, listen here. Okay, we calling names and pulling people's files and stuff. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's look at this other one. All right. Word association. Josh drifted from one job to another. What is the author suggesting with the word drifted?
He can't keep a job.
Moving to and fro from one job to the
Okay.
other.
So fellas, would any of you want to be like Joshua?
I mean, that depends on if drifting from job to job is a promotion.
Okay. Thank you. I said that because I wanted someone to like go a little deeper, and you did. Because that doesn't mean that he was like pathetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good, Jamal. That could also mean that he wasn't satisfied at one place, or maybe like they kept moving him up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or whatever. Or maybe they moved him from one office to another, from one department to another. He was functioning in another capacity because it's like, man, this guy is great. Is there anything this man cannot do? Right? But yeah, okay, that is also figurative. So you get questions like this on the exam, all right, where you're expected to explain in literal terms. Because guess what? When you remember, always remember this, right? Before I before I can teach you anything, before Mr. Tucson, Mrs. Dennis, or Mrs. Toot can teach you anything, we have to understand it first. If we don't understand it, we can't teach it to you. Okay? So what they're trying to do with questions like this is to measure your level of understanding. Can you understand what this figurative phrase is implying or suggesting? Do you get it? All right? And a lot of times, unfortunately, there are students who don't. Okay? And they take things, some of us, we don't move beyond the literal level of thought. Like we kind of stay, we kind of deal with things on a very like basic level. And nobody wants to be basic. I don't think anyone wants to be basic. All right? I think everyone wants to be great. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so he was happy, blah, blah, blah. Okay? All right. So drifted, but honestly, though, Shema, very interesting. And I agree with you that, he could have been drifting, right? And that could have been a good thing, but more than likely it was like he wasn't able to hold the job, right? For whatever reason. Okay. Now you guys can you guys see this? Can you guys make that out? No way. I'll have to read.
Yes, sir.
You guys can make out those words? Don't lie to me now.
Yeah, I can see the
Yes,
words.
sir.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
Okay, so locally, here are some examples. Here are some examiners. What? Locally, some examiners place types of questions into the following categories. Listen, I thought I was like, I don't know. I thought I was like getting dyslexia just now. I don't know what was going on. All right. So for the BGCSE, this is more, more reinforcement, right? More tailored to the Bahamas, right? One, vocabulary / meaning. Okay. And this is where you may be asked to explain what a word or phrase means in the context of the passage. And guys, remember, context is so important. All right? Because the words, I'm just going to send in the attendance link. Okay? But I'm going to type this sentence into the chat again. All right? Look at that sentence. Okay? Now, do you have context with those 3 words that I have there? Is there enough context for you to determine how I'm saying those 3 words?
No.
No. Listen, have you guys ever been texting someone? You might have been texting your little girlfriend or your little boyfriend, and like because you couldn't, it might have been 1 o'clock in the morning, and if you'd start trying to make a call or voice note them, your parent was going to come kick the door open and punch you in your head, right? So you have to keep typing, right? And like you say something, right? And he's like, so you come in so he say, hey, how you doing? You good? Right? And you like, I straight. I say, okay, so how was your day, man? How was your day? It was all right. Well, what did you do today? I nothing really. I mean, then things start to get dark, right? Then he's like, you don't want to talk to me then, right? And he may not be saying it with that energy, right? But then you may be feeling some type of way because you weren't feeling too hot today, but he didn't pick it up because you're not talking with your voice. You're using words. So a lot of times, right, we get into arguments because when we text, because like it's difficult to get the context of something that is typed, more difficult than if someone says it to you, right? So no.
Mr. Walking, right? You see how you say.
Hold on, Alicia. Before you continue now, I can't give you no advice on relationships. I just saying, but go ahead.
Anyway. So you're trying to say like you can't get no feeling from the text because most of the time you could.
No. I'm not saying you can't get any feeling. I'm saying sometimes a lot of times we get feelings that are not even there.
They are so true.
But you could tell how someone feeling by how they text
Oh
them.
my Lord.
Not really. No,
It's
you
not as easy
can't.
as
No,
all right.
not
So
easiest
Alicia,
way.
Alicia, you're gonna you have to stop here. But you're gonna sit there and tell me that if someone